record this. There we go.
There you go.
Now we have to be careful what we're saying.
Pressure's on.
So again, thank you all to the panelists for being with us. And I just want to explain to the attendees that if you could keep your mutes on, that would be greatly appreciated. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand with the little raise your hand icon, or you can also use the chat window. There down on the bottom in the middle, you'll see that little bubble that says chat. If you click on that, you can type in your question into the chat window, and I do have the window open here on my end so I can see your questions come in, and I'd be happy to answer them or ask them on your behalf, and Jerome will direct them to the panel that way. So with that said, let's get this started. Jerome, you have the agenda in front of you?
I do have the agenda, and so we'll just get started right away. And as I ask a question, what I think the best way to do it is, since we have different sectors of the business, of the industry represented, I'd like each of you to take a second and just answer the question. And then maybe that'll spur another questions from some of our folks that are listening. And then Rodney will have access to those questions, and he can ask those questions specifics. So I think we'll just go down the list. The way I have the panelists is Steve first, and then Josh, and then John, and then myself. So if when I ask a question, we go in that order, it'd be great. The first thing on the agenda, which I believe all of you got, is product availability for the upcoming 90 to 180 days. What does that mean to your section of the universe?
Okay, so first of all, I just want to explain briefly that I may wear two hats in this conversation, because I'm the executive director for CalFlowers, but I also own a company called Wafex USA, which imports from primarily Australia and South Africa. We also have a full-time office in Ecuador as well, so we're involved in South American trade. Coming now to start with from the California perspective, we're expecting to see steady supply. Climate conditions are normal and predictable for this time of the year. We're kind of past the part of the pandemic that caused such immense disruptions that were labor origin disruptions, so problems of getting workers in the fields, things of that nature. We seem to be pretty well past that. There are still definitely supply chain issues in terms of delays of inbound shipments. So where you see the impact of something like that is in your production of bulb flowers. So I talked to several large bulb growers here in California over the last 2 weeks, and those who are importing their bulbs from Holland into the East Coast and then running them over by train are having no scheduling issues. Those who are bringing the bulbs through the Panama Canal and then up for a West Coast port of entry, they're experiencing several week delays. And when you're involved in the timing of planting bulbs, delays can be quite significant in terms of getting your product to market when it needs to be there. So sometimes the effect you might see of that is limited colors, for example, of your LA hybrid, lily types at the time they're needed, especially that transition from fall colors to December colors. If the bulb planting schedule is a little bit off, that can definitely be impacted. But it does sound like the growers are doing everything they can, and I think that supply is going to be okay. All the outdoor production is right on schedule. All the greens and foliages everybody's relying on. We've seen California seems to be in really good shape from that perspective.
Josh?
Okay, so as I was introduced, my name is Josh. I'm with Syndicate Sales, so I'll speak for the floral hard goods section, which is what we're predominantly known for. There's going to be some supply issues for 90 to 100 days in the hard goods section. A lot of that has to do with the import section. Obviously, everybody knows the struggles that we're having. We do not see that letting up anytime soon. The last report that we got over in LA was there's 44 boats still waiting to get into dock with containers. Roughly about a week to unload those. So the import side is still going to be hit drastically. Here at Syndicate, we're very fortunate though that we do a majority of our business domestically, which we still have our own concerns on that side. And a lot of that has to do with labor. Labor is still an issue. I'm sure you guys at your flower shops and the wholesalers are still having labor issues as well, which is a big issue for us. Freight and having truck drivers and trucks available to take product are also a big issue for us as well, coming down the section. So what we're doing is we're bringing in as much product as possible now, and we're asking our wholesalers to buy early and often so that they have the product. We do anticipate that January, February timeframe that there's going to be a shortage of vases and containers to put your products in. I can't tell you exactly what that looks like. I don't have a crystal ball, but just everything that we're seeing is that there's going to be a shortage. So we're asking wholesalers and retailers to obviously be flexible when it comes to what containers you typically use. May not be available coming up this time, or at least in the latter part of the year. So, but that's kind of our crystal ball, and that's what we're seeing moving forward.
I have a question, Josh, that
Sure.
goes directly to your product line, and it affects obviously other people in the same section of the market as you. You put out advance order opportunities for like Valentine's Day and things like that. Do you sense that if product's been ordered early, it'll actually come in, or do you sense that just because it's ordered doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Jerome. So what we're doing with our wholesalers is that we're doing kind of what we have in stock now, and then we're kind of doing it by phases. So the product that we're kind of issuing out to our wholesalers right now, we believe that we're going to have product and we'll be able to fulfill those orders. And then we're just kind of taking it almost at a 4-week time frame of what we have available and what we can ship. And that kind of goes even with our domestic stuff that we manufacture here at Syndicate as well. So it's still, the issue that we've seen now is that because the imports have become an issue, people are going domestic and trying to get labor and manufacturing capabilities to produce all that all at once is becoming a big strain across the country. So, but yes, we do what we put out there, we plan on fulfilling.
Okay. You probably didn't look at the chat, but Jason asked about shipping containers being delayed, and it's known that container costs have really skyrocketed for people shipping, importing in. So can we assume that the hard good costs are going up substantially as well?
You can, yeah. So container costs, that's a good point. I mean, container costs from China have just gone up. I mean, what we were doing about 1.5 to 2 years ago was 3,500. Container costs now are anywhere between 25 to we've seen one at 32,000. So the cost of those are going. Most like everybody else, we're trying to endure the pain as long as possible, but eventually there's a breaking point, right? So you're going to see cost of goods from the import side go up. I can't speak to how often. I know everybody's trying to do it the best that they can and try to limit your guys' frustration, because everybody has to price out their product. So we're trying to do it the best we can. But yeah, I would assume that hard goods are going to go up, especially if they're imported. Great question.
John?
Yeah, so from the wholesale side, I think kind of echo a lot of what Steve and Josh just said. I mean, transportation first and foremost for us. Getting product in a timely manner has become even more and more challenging. Product availability is also a data that we're looking at trying to get enough because of really an all-time demand for a lot of the same things. We're seeing events every day, every week. And there's a lot of similar products that that are being looked for. When you look at Steve talked about weather in California being good. Weather in South America has not been favorable over the last little bit, and that has caused there to be some headache with being able to get enough product too as well. So there's a lot of different things that kind of roll into us at the wholesale part, but most of them are the same things. Not having adequate drivers to get product from ports to us, not having the demand, the supply to meet the demand that's out there from a lot of the farms, and then also that was just mentioned too is that the pricing part. We're going to continue to see pricing elevate as that goes forward, because cost of shipping, cost of product we've seen continue to rise over the last couple months here.
So, couple folks not necessarily on the panel, but I want their opinion anyways, and that's Cliff. Can you share anything about your plants and what's going on in that arena? Because that's a whole other thing that affects the retail force as well.
Well, as you know, the plant industry saw a surge in demand, not only just because, more sympathy work, but because more people were interested in just filling their plants with houses for fun and, because they're working from home and whatnot. But, and so it took, a substantial amount of time for growers to respond to that increase in demand, and but they now have, and and it's really forced everybody to adapt and come up with ways to make sure our customers' needs are met, and and we've kind of just like some of the other guys have said that we're just buying everything we can that's available down in Florida now and in Canada, and so that we can make sure our availability is up, and we've put together lists that are sent out on a weekly basis so that retail shops are aware of what actually is available, so they're not just like blindly ordering 28-inch PCLAs and we can only really send out 2. They're able to see some good substitutions that might be better, and just really encouraging our customers not to promise anything, and make sure that until it's actually in our greenhouse, we don't believe it's coming. So but what it really comes down to is that we've just we've made a priority to be extremely transparent and make sure the communication is clear and concise on what to expect. And I think it's provided what more than a pandemic for people to be understanding and flexible. So, and even moving forward, I think that it's going to be we're going to be okay, and the supply is going to be there at least till spring. So until that demand really surges and takes off again, and we see how it is, well, we know if there are issues. But from here on out, it's looking pretty good.
Quick question, and that is, what about poinsettias?
Yep, order early. Even if you're guessing, it's better to guess and get it wrong so you have product available, because the way it's been is that customers or growers, they're if somebody wants it, they're selling it and pushing it out the door as fast as they can. They're not holding it for nobody. Even if you pre-order something, and someone, for a month out, and someone orders it in 2 weeks, they'll ship it out. And so, ordering early, being willing to take it early, is big, because, the amount of poinsettias we sell, we can't fit them all in our greenhouse space. So, so just getting an order in early, even if it's, and talking to your churches, because churches are your biggest orders. So you want them getting their, the price lists put on the church bulletin in October, so that, we're all ahead of the game. And then, and that way we can do the best we can on our end to reserve it and get them in to our greenhouse. So.
Well, that's a good segue, because that's exactly what I was going to talk about from the retail standpoint. Many of you know that I've been in the education aspect of the industry for a long time, and I travel and I teach seminars and workshops. And one of the things we kept talking about for years now is to order early. And it just seemed to be like on deaf ears to most of the retail sector. Especially when you're talking to small to medium-sized shops. I think your larger shops got on that train a while ago, but your small to medium shops, I think, are really struggling right now because of the fact that order early is really the key. and having those relationships and getting product. I know that actually goes through pretty much every segment of the industry, really. The smaller operations are having bigger challenges than the bigger operations because, you know, the big guys get bigger and the small ones fall off, basically. I'm not trying to paint doom and gloom to everybody, but the reality is, if you're buying a couple bunches of flowers versus a case or two of flowers, there's a big difference. And that's where a lot of the small retailers are struggling. So a couple of the folks that I've talked to, as far as retail goes, you know, if there is basically going back to what we all used to do, for those of us that have been in the industry a long time, and I know Jeanette will nod her head on this one, and that is, if you have to partner with another flower shop and maybe split some product and buy some cases and things like that. It's gonna be better in the long run. I know a lot of our purchasing has shifted to online because that's what all our local wholesalers are now doing. So, you know, John, you know, you got your websites up and running for people to order online, and I've got, you know, Shop Mayesh and DWF and pretty much all the wholesalers that are bringing product in have an online platform. And as a retailer, you have to be active on that. And you have to be active and you have to order in advance. And that was the other challenge that we've been talking about for many years, but now with COVID and the change of product availability and things like that, it's just reality now. And from a retail standpoint, if you're not ordering product 2 or 3 weeks in advance, you're probably not going to be getting product that you want. And I know for some retailers, you know, they're thinking yet what they need this Friday, let alone, you know, what they need in 3 weeks. So I'm not going to say it's easy from a retail standpoint, because it's not, but I really don't think anybody's on an easy train right now for any part of our business. And, you know, the key is ordering early. And Josh, you reiterated that with ordering hard goods, and you know, Cliff, you said it about plants and poinsettias, and John, of course, I know you are all about wanting the orders in advance. And that's why I brought up what I did from a retail standpoint, because just because you order it in advance doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to get it. But it certainly makes the option a lot better. I'm going to move on to a couple other topics, because there's a lot I could talk about in regards to product, and I'll get to that maybe down a little bit further in the agenda. The next comment was going to be shipping challenges. We've already talked about some of that in regards to the cost of containers. We talked about challenges with basically having truck drivers on the larger scheme of things, bringing things from one coast to the other. I know many of the trucking companies are struggling to either get drivers or retain the drivers they have. And so what would you like to add to that topic, Steve? Shipping challenges.
Well, what you're describing with the trucking companies is a particularly acute challenge for California origin product. California does not have the same critical mass, and so it does create a significant profitability issue for Prime Armelini Florida Beauty. Over the last month or so, I've spoken with Brad Quinn at Prime, as well as David Armelini, specifically on these issues. And you're right, driver shortages is number one. That is their single greatest business challenge these days. It does not look like a solvable problem, to be honest with you. When you look at it in the macro or in the micro, there's no easy solutions there. Increasing driver pay seems like low-hanging fruit from a supply-demand standpoint, but at the end of the day, can our industry afford to sink that much more into the transportation costs and still deliver value at the retail level? Because that cost is going to show up in the supply chain somewhere. But it's a bigger issue than pay. It's the issue of the new federal, not new anymore, but the existing federal regulations regarding team drivers. You know, the whole lone wolf, lone spirit trucker mentality that dominated US trucking for decades and made it a very pride of ownership type industry has been diminished. It's been obliterated by the regulations that require team drivers and certain amount of logged hours and rest time between and that sort of thing. And it's really, really impacted the floral transportation industry. Prime and Armlini run two completely different models. So they have different challenges than each other. But if for Prime, every driver they have is a contract driver, which means our flowers are competing with another load. And what was explained to me is that the average number of stops for a truck leaving California, reaching its destination empty, is 13 stops. So a driver has to bid on and receive that load of flowers. Each of those 13 stops, if it's an unmanned stop, then they have to physically offload the truck themselves. They have to identify the boxes, walk them into the cooler. Their alternative, for example, may be avocados or any of a huge number of refrigerated products that are usually point to point with no driver interaction whatsoever. So they can have much more frequent loads. It's much, much, much more profitable than delivering flowers. So I think there's cause to be concerned about the overall health of refrigerated floral transport well into the future. I don't think these problems are going to resolve anytime soon. And I think that it's pretty fair to expect an ongoing perpetual increase in costs until there's some sort of equilibrium reached that allows these companies to have the financial resources they need to get the job done for our industry.
So question was brought up in the chat. Do you foresee that there's going to be a shift in farms becoming more direct to retailer?
I think, okay, so speaking from the standpoint of a large scale commercial California farm, absolutely not. I do think that there is a shift for those farms for their product to stay in California and be absorbed retail, wholesale, mass market. And mass market is obviously doing a lot of that uptake. So I do think what we're going to see over time is less product leaving California for destinations across the United States. And that gap will be filled in with imported flowers, Canadian grown flowers, things of that, all the other alternatives that exist out there right now. So having said that, CalFlowers has noticed a humongous increase in our membership over the last 4 or 5 years of domestic flower farms. And the main reason that those farms are interacting with CalFlowers is they want to earn the shipping discounts that we offer through FedEx and other programs. And so farms like that are formerly regionally positioned farms are finding creative freight solutions to get their product into much, much broader distribution areas. So that's a seasonal impact and it's a regional impact, but it's a significant trend that we're seeing. And you see it kind of in the slow flowers community, the certified American grown community. There's some significant kind of groups or entities or kind of loose coalitions out there that are definitely promoting that. And I think it's fantastic for the industry.
We have that here in Michigan. We have some pretty groups of locally grown products, but obviously we're fast approaching the end of that because the weather changes.
Of course.
And it makes it a bit more challenging unless they go into greenhouse, but then you get more expense and then, the rest is history. So there is definitely a strong group. I know Rod and I met with some of them in the Ann Arbor market a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, met with them, and they're still moving along. It's like a co-op of various local growers that get together to sell their products and things like that. And I know, John, you work with a couple local growers to bring in locally grown product and things. And it's all beautiful, and it does kind of augment what we have available right now in the marketplace. But like I said, for us here in Michigan, it's going to go away. And then we'll be looking for other opportunities. So yeah. Anybody else have anything on that? I think we pretty well covered the shipping challenges because I think they're numerous. I don't think they're going away. From a retail standpoint, basically I have the same challenges. It's just in a different arena. I was doing deliveries today, okay? I was doing deliveries because one of our drivers wasn't available. It's actually in the hospital. So, it's not like I can just grab another person and say, hey, come do deliveries, because I don't have that extra person right now. And I think retailers are all in that same boat as well. We don't have an abundance of extra staff, if you will. And everyone kind of is already running thin and running very lean on their ability. And I see John delivering flowers to my location when he has to. And I mean, we're all doing what we have to do to just make it work. But at what point is something going to tip? Because I can't see us all doing this forever. And so I was telling my staff on the retail end about how the price of product has increased and all that kind of thing. And I said, for all intents and purposes, we should probably be raising the price of our roses right now. I mean, and all this type of thing. And they go, oh, you know, we already got people cringing. So my question from a retail standpoint to some of the other avenues would be, how is the local retailer going to stay competitive in this market? Because clearly we're in the same boat, as I said earlier, about the big guys getting bigger and the small guys having the challenges. I see us as a retailer having a challenge because you still have the Costco's and the Sam Clubs and the Kroger's all with very cost-effective flowers still. And, you know, there's two schools on that. As an educator in the industry, you know, I've taught workshops and seminars for the Hy-Vees and the Kroger's and things like that. And it's like a flower shop because they're all based on who's managing that area and who's the regional manager and how well they're doing. So for an industry, from a retail industry, feeling like, oh, grocery stores, that's not really going to be our challenge. Well, yes, it is our challenge, in my opinion, because many of them are doing a pretty damn good job of it. And people are picking up bouquets of flowers there, very cost effective. So I've got brides right now coming to me saying, if I get my flowers from Santa Clubs or Costco, can I bring them here and will you put them together? And so, you know, how is that going to be for the future? Because if I start allowing that to happen, which I gotta say, I'm not totally opposed to, because I don't have to worry about buying the product. It's going to be on them at that point. And really all they're hiring me for is my design ability at that point. You know, it's a totally different way of thinking, and it's something that I've always been adamantly against. But yet things are changing and things are different. And, you know, I've got brides ordering their, you know, right now, greenery garlands are the big thing still, going down the middle of the table and hanging on arches and all of that kind of stuff. Well, they're going on Costco or Sam's Club and buying garlands dirt ass cheap, cheaper than John can probably buy them for my orders. So how is that facet of the industry really going to affect us long term? And where does that leave the average retailer? That's my concern.
I would say onto that, like the challenge that we see right now is that we are getting most orders a week out. And I'm not saying all orders, but many orders are coming into us a week out, or even some are of that week. And so we are now going into trying to purchase product at a very demanding environment, and we are really unable to negotiate that price. So if we're able to do a better job of being able to see orders, have visibility to orders, and just like you mentioned, where florists can work together to buy, like, hey, if we need a case of this, let's work together and take a case. We could pool orders together and make those orders more attractive to our growers to say, hey, I need X amount of this, versus coming at one time saying this or that, and being able to try to get, you know, better pricing when it you know, is there for us. So I think there are avenues for us to be able to be competitive, but you know, I think the key is going to be how far can we get ahead of this. One example I would use is going back to Valentine's Day. We, as our branch, basically purchased all the roses that we thought we were going to sell before even pre-books came in from florists. And we rolled the dice to be able to do that, but we wanted to secure enough product, you know, on there. And so we have kind of hopefully started to condition florists to know that, hey, you have to order a little sooner. We have to think about Valentine's Day earlier. We have to, you know, rely on what you did with numbers, last year and take some of those chances and understand it would be easier for us to say, hey, I don't need 1,000, I need 800, and take some back, versus trying to add on in the future. Because right now, if I had somebody tell me they have 200 extra white roses, I would be like, no problem, I have a home for them. So I think the more aggressive we can be and staying in front of things will definitely help.
Okay. The other thing is for the average retailer, it was just put into the chat to me that, the comment is, let's not forget about the home studios that have popped up over the years. And many of them are smaller based. They are buying their product from Sam's Club and Costco and shopping at Trader Joe's and grocery stores and putting products together that way and being able to continue to offer maybe some pricing that would be less than the average retail florist that is trying to do it in a manner of ordering in advance, like you just asked for, John, and things like that. Now I personally am a little concerned about waiting to get my product from some of those vendors, but the reality is that I know there's people doing it and they're doing it successfully. So I guess I like somebody else said, there's no crystal ball. We don't really know the best way, but I do see this to be a continuing challenge for the average retailer in all sizes, small, medium, and large retail florist. I think with moving forward and being creative on this, we have, right now, if I could get my brides to use Freedoms instead of Saharas, I'd be in happy land. But that's just not what's working right now. They all, and the other thing is that our clients have ordered a year in advance. So how the hell did I know it was going to be no Saharas available? And then when they're already painting their dream of this big special day, talking to that bride and trying to really convince them that, I can't get what I told you I could get you a year ago, but now here we sit and I can maybe get you this or maybe get you that. I'm not really sure. I guess we'll have to wait and see what comes in. And then, that's a whole nother game for the retailers right now, that I think sometimes the other facets of the industry don't have this hanging over their head, but it's the whole social media and reviews and all that kind of stuff, because some of these clients are pretty critical, shall I say, and with little to no compassion or understanding of the real world. And so, but you have the next client that's actually reading that review and kind of feeling that same way. So I have a workshop coming up in the near future, don't I, Rodney? October, what's the date on that? What's the date on that workshop? 11th, 6th, 6th, October 6th.
10/6.
Yeah. And one of the things I'm going to be addressing with the retail sector is how to deal with this, because it's a real, the struggle's real. Because you got your clients giving you bad reviews when really, you're doing the best you absolutely can. And I think, as a retailer, we do put our heart and soul into this, just like all of us in this industry. None of us are becoming millionaires. We really like what we do. And the challenge is that you can easily take it extremely personal when someone's calling you out for not doing a good job for them, when really you did everything you possibly could. So it's a challenge, and we will definitely be addressing that in the meeting on the 6th. So hopefully folks will be signing up for that as well, and share some feedback on that. What's the best practices right now? I know it says discuss best practices on how to plan for profits. We've already heard best practices, order in advance, but I can order in advance from Josh to make sure I get some vases, but I can't be promised that I'm going to actually get those exact vases. I can order product in advance, and they're going to try like hell to get the right product for me, but I can't really promise I'm going to get the right product. So when it comes from a retail standpoint, my personal opinion on the whole planning for it is goes into what is the next thing on the agenda, and that is selling what you have and have access to. And from a retail standpoint, I feel that's huge. I mean, we have to really retrain our sales teams and have them realize that we have to be selling in a color palette, not in a specific, specific flower per se. Sell something bright and bold, sell something in pastels, that type of thing, which would help make it a little bit more easy for us to select product that will fit into those categories. What's anybody's feedback on that in regards to what are some of the best practices we can all do?
I think that what I had written down here was order early. So that seems to be a kind of a recurring theme here.
And just to stop you on that, Steve, from a retail to a wholesale, what does that mean, John? And some of our other wholesalers, what does that mean? What's order early for fresh product? Is that 3 weeks? Is that a month? Is that 2 weeks? What's order early mean?
Well, I think that there's two different parts of it that I would say is like for your events. I have event planners who will get me orders at least a month out. But I also have the same event planners who like are picking up events, it's a small thing. They pick it up next week, and it's down to it's just down to like a week's notice. And now for a shop, so like if you have your shop and the typical things that you want to have in the store, I think those items right now should be a little bit easier for us to get because they're more of the staple things and not interfering a lot with the event items that are very challenging for us to get. If you were able to kind of think a week out, it would be a big help for us on that.
I have a couple communications that were sent over to me prior to this, and orders with you. Is that a benefit? I have a letter from Royal Flowers saying that even though you place a standing order, just we're raising all the prices. So it's kind of from a retail standpoint, it has a lot of opportunity for us, because if we order in advance and we think we're having this particular price, we then have to create feature designs. We have to put them on our website. We have to adjust our website pricing. We have to make sure all those different aspects of our doing business is covered. And then when we find out the week of that, oh, by the way, that product isn't that price anymore, now it's going to be this price. And oh, by the way, those extra cases of 4042s you just bought from Syndicate Sales are now gone up $1 a vase or whatever. I'm just using as a facsimile. But my point is that creates a domino effect of what needs to be changed and how things have to be adjusted. And at what point does a retail outlet overdo what is market value?
I think we are trying to limit the amount of times that we want you to see price increases or price changes on there. Just today I had a conversation with my buyer in the office of we have some things that are coming in from shipping that are going to improve the cost, and we're trying to analyze the entire business. So if I don't have to make a change on white roses today because I'm doing okay in red roses, like you mentioned earlier, can I let that offset each other? And so we're trying, not to be like the corner gas station where you drive by and see, $2.98 today and $3.13 tomorrow, and up and down. So that is something that I know that we're committed to trying to keep on a more consistent basis. But as you've heard from a lot of speakers, is that it seems as though on a weekly we're having something that is coming up as a challenge or as an increase that we have to make sure that we are planning for. on there.
And then someone put in the chat, actually, what about shopping from the wholesalers? What about shopping for open stock? Will that become something that's of the past, where everything is just going to be case lots?
I don't see that. I mean, for us, I mean, we have really tried to keep our cooler as full as we can. And I mean, I think this week is the first week we've really seen where, like I walked through today and it looked clean, but it was clean because we've had, great sell through. But, we've been very successful keeping a full cooler to give you options, to give, solutions for, we don't have this, but could you make this work? So I don't anticipate, from, in my area there that we would see a change in that. I think that, the cooler is a very important part, for us. And the unique thing for that branch in Detroit is that we not only do that, but in some areas we still are servicing with coolers on the road. We have a couple route trucks that still go out,
Just going to bring it up because
and we still have product that we have there too as well. So what's been really good is we've been able to, bring those in on the weekend, have great sell through, of that product. And, so like we have a lot of different resources that we feel that have kept us successful, of keeping product there. And I wouldn't see the change of that shopping change. Now, Jerome, just to mention though too, as you mentioned earlier, the shopping online. I think even if you don't want to be a box lot shopper online, I think one of the great things that the online allows you to do is to see what's happening with pricing, to see what's happening with product availability. It's one thing I know in our conversations, you'll see less pages, like, hey, there used to be 6 pages here, now there's only 1 page of roses to choose from. So it lets you see, a little sooner, oh wow, there's some availability issues here as well too. So that I know for one, our website will give some of that visibility just to give you information purposes too, as a shop or as a planner.
Right. And I know we've mentioned weddings and events quite often, but we also have traditional retail flower shops on this call. I know Jeanette does a ton of funeral work, and it's hard for them to order 3 weeks in advance because they haven't passed yet. So so it does make it challenging when they come in and they want $1,500 or $2,000 worth of funeral family work, and they want all white.
Mm-hmm.
And you're scrambling because it's like, okay, this is all new to them too. So it's a real opportunity for us as retailers to be able to educate them and say, I used to be able to just call up and say, I need 300 white carnations because I got these set pieces to make. And now I can call up and say, I need 300 white carnations, and my supplier laughs and says, well, maybe next week. So that is also an opportunity for us. And again, goes back to us having to educate our customers about, we have to make something pretty with what we have. We've got beautiful product. You mentioned it recently, John, with, I'm going to have things in my cooler, and if I don't have what you want, or maybe I have something that you could use instead. We're going to have to do that same philosophy more so with our families. It's just challenging because families come in and they already have a mindset on what they really want, and in some different areas based on ethnicities and backgrounds and things like that. People have a mindset what they want. They either want all white, or they want white and red, or they want bold colors. It just depends. But they kind of want what they want for their loved one because it's their last chance to give them beautiful flowers. So it becomes a real burden with that as well. I didn't want to just talk about events and weddings because they might have another wedding. Who knows? They could.
It might be better than the first wedding, right?
You never know. You never know. And so some people have made comments, and I think all of you can read them because most of them are to everyone. So says that they've been ordering from other sources, even though they prefer to order from their local wholesalers, but they've been feeling like they had been kind of forced to do other things. Again, I just want to reiterate, the local wholesalers do have websites available. They do have products available. And I think in the relationships you build, they're going to end up being supportive for you. I know there's a lot of other sources available. Same with hard goods. I mean, Josh, I'm going to bring up a dirty word, there's that Dollar Tree where people go and grab vessels that hold water. And they don't have any vases right now either. So, I heard people posting, where do I get my vases? I tried to get them at Dollar Tree and nobody has any. So, it's not any one section. We're all in this. And I even, I hate to say that, but it's an opportunity. So, what's the best way? Do any of you want to share what the best way is to communicate the potential shortages and the issues with your sales staff or the clientele? Any suggestions on that? I know there's no crystal ball.
Maria, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Sorry. Hi, everybody. I'm from Glenview, Illinois. Thank you for having me. Since COVID started, we scaled back our website for months and months and months. It was designer's choice. And to this day, our #1 product is still designer's choice. We have other products, but I scaled back our website and we're actually more profitable because of it.
Right.
And we have, designer's choice all the way up to $400, and our customer will order $100, $200, $300 without ever seeing. And those are the customers I want. I don't need the one that wants to go and buy the bundles at the grocery store. I want those kind of customers because I'd rather make that in 20 minutes than make a corsage for $35. But also we've been honest with our customers. We don't announce, our prices are going up, because a lot of florists on Facebook pages are like, how do I let my customers know that we're increasing our prices? You don't. Does the grocery store tell you they're raising their prices? Does the physicians? They don't. So we shouldn't have to. So what I do is when a customer calls, luckily we have really good customers in my area, but the ones that are like, oh, your prices have gone up. And I says, well, they've been going up for, the last couple of years. But now with COVID, I explained to them about the farms, how they got plowed last year. And I'm brutally honest with people. And I make them understand and sympathize with us and what our situation is. And if anybody says, well, the grocery stores, I says, well, the grocery store buy the whole farm a year in advance. So they get their products no matter what. We don't get it all the time. And I've been very fortunate in my business throughout the last 18 months with customers. They've been amazing. But I think if you have a really good rapport with your customer, those are the ones who are going to be more understanding. The ones that buy every 5-10 years, they're not going to understand, and they'll just send them to somewhere else. Thanks.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Maria, and thanks for sharing. Our clients as well, and I think most retailers on here are going to agree that our clients have been extremely supportive.
Yeah.
Through this process, I've had some of our better clients calling up to send flowers, monthly, just to a collection of friends because they want to support our business.
When COVID shut down, we were shut down for 5 weeks. And when we reopened, a whole bunch of customers were just sending flowers because they wanted to give us business just to keep us going, which that was huge for us. That was very generous on their part. They're ordering 4, 5, 6, a really good customer ordered 10 just to say hello to their friends in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's been a good experience. And what we have to learn, I've been doing this for 31 years. 31 years ago, we didn't have where you can call the, florist and I want a delivery in 2 hours. Back then you went to the florist weeks in advance just to order your anniversary, flowers or your birthday flowers. Who remembers that? you know?
Unfortunately, I do.
You know, so I think we have to re-educate the public that we don't have products on the shelf that, here's something that I like to tell people. My replicator in the back room is not working today.
There you go. That's a good way.
I
That's a good thing to share.
You know, Star Trek, you know, taught me a few things.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Jason, I know you wanted to share.
Yeah. I'm actually going to jump off mute and I'm going to go on video. I'm
wow.
going to show my face here for a second.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, and we are actually starting a new floral business in Michigan. So we are up and coming here in the next several months. So it's interesting to hear all the feedback coming from you guys as we're planning our strategy. We're actually not going to be brick and mortar. We're going to be using a lot of digital presence to launch our business. And we've been evaluating a lot of the bigger players on how we really offer product to our customers. And we are seeing, like Maria said, some of the best businesses are actually having the most success by moving into a designer's choice type offering. Especially in the subscription model. I mean, if you look at Freddie's Flowers, that's all they offer. And they're raising millions and millions of dollars over there just around that model itself. And so I think, you know, if you're able to pin down the suppliers and your customers, and you're able to be flexible with really what you offer, then your customers hopefully will understand. But at the end of the day, you know, you need to really over communicate to the customer on what's going on in the market, or if they're buying from your website, you need to have the disclaimers right there underneath the picture of the flower or under the buy button that lets them know, you know, what you see isn't necessarily what you might get, you know, but it's going to be really close to what you want at the end of the day. And so and Maria, I think, and maybe for others here that are trying to solve maybe same day or next day delivery challenges with drivers, you can actually integrate with DoorDash. I don't know if you guys have thought about it,
Right.
but you can post your SKUs on DoorDash and they'll come pick up flowers just like they would a restaurant from your location. And there's no skin off your back either, really. They might take a small percentage of the sale, but you can mark your products up a little bit to accommodate the price fluctuations and solve some of the logistics that way.
Yes, DoorDash has definitely been an addition to the marketplace here. You know, I don't know if that's going to work in some of the small rural areas, but
Yeah.
Certainly in the metropolitan areas, it's definitely a viable option.
So we're gonna be out of the Rochester, Troy area. So if there's any florists in the area that are looking to buy in quantity and looking to buy pieces, you know, I'm willing to work with other florists as well if they want to secure various product that's in line with what we're trying to get as well.
All right, thanks for sharing, Jason.
You got it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been going on here for a hot minute. So how about we go into some final thoughts here, because I don't want to keep everyone all night. And I don't know about you. I'm on the East Coast here, Steve, and it's beer 30 for me. And so I just wanted to take the opportunity to go back to each of you and have you do a quick closing statement of some sort, if you don't mind. Steve? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. Hope I was able to give you guys some California perspective on this. My closing comment is, you know, we're discussing real acute challenges to everybody's day-to-day business, but the bottom line is the flower business is on fire right now. And I think we're seeing trends that are going to help solidify our industry and propel us in the future in a new way. And I think it's a very good time to be in the flower business. When you listen to some of the comments that have been made, it's the innovation that's obviously taking place on a daily basis is remarkable. It's as impressive as it's always been. And I think that it's fine to talk about the challenges, but I think an important take-home point is that every one of us, on this call has some significant opportunities, new opportunities in front of us right now. And let's, as an industry, make sure we're delivering top-notch product to our customers and making a lot of people happy.
Awesome. All right, Josh.
Yeah, so I'll second that. What Steve said. It's been an honor to be on the panel and listen to your guys' discussion points and what you guys face on a daily basis as well. And from a hard goods side, I mean, listen, the issues that we have from the hard goods sides are blessings, right? I mean, we can't bring and make enough product to satisfy the needs that you guys have. So by no stress are we, these are all great things to have. We just have to figure out a way to supply the demand that you guys are creating. So from that, I know all the hard good vendors are doing that daily, trying to figure out how to supply the product. But if I can leave one statement, it is not buy early, because that has been beat to death tonight. It will be flexible, especially with your containers. Be flexible. The wholesalers and John, I know you're doing it, but it may not be the 4072, it may be the C972, right? Or the C973. It may not be your everyday base that you use. It just may have to be the function that you're looking for, not necessarily the same base that you've used for 30 years. So be flexible is what I'd like to leave with you guys tonight.
All right.
Thanks again.
Thanks, John. John?
I think, Josh, that's like absolutely perfect. That be flexible is what I want to hit. And I'd give you some examples of things that, we've had to be flexible on, and some changes, from whether it's trucking of product coming in, and like this last weekend, meeting the Armlini truck there at 1 a.m. on Monday morning to offload, to make sure that we had that truck broke down, to make sure it goes out that business day for florist. That's what we've had to do. Today, our California prime order came in late, so we were there late. So we've in the wholesale business, we were accustomed to some nice early hours, but we don't have that luxury right now. So we've had to be very flexible in when we've been there to make sure that we can be ready for the business that is there. And I would just echo that same thing that Josh said, is being flexible, and being able to build that relationship with us, and with us building that with you, to make sure that our communication is great, and that we are successful, because as it's been said, is there's a huge amount of demand right now, and that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And before we sign off, I want to say that this meeting was brought about because of Jeanette, who's in charge of our regional meetings. As a floral association, that's one thing that we wanted to do, is bring education to our members and non-members for that matter. Those of you that are on that aren't members of the association might consider checking out membership opportunities. Hint, hint, Jason. But anyway, Jeanette, do you want to share a little bit about the upcoming regional meetings that we have scheduled?
Certainly. We have one coming on October 6th with Jerome again on Zoom. It's going to be a little of design and a little bit of teaching your customers really about substitutions, and making them aware of everything that's going on in the industry. So I'm looking really forward to that.
Definitely going to be geared towards retail flower shops and staff.
Right.
So if you can maybe have a pizza party and have the whole staff watch, that might be a good idea.
That's a wonderful idea. Yeah. I just want to thank all the panelists too for taking the time after hours to help us create awareness for the problems our wholesalers and our suppliers face due to the weather and COVID and shipping issues. We can't say enough that the Great Lakes Floral Association understands and just wants everyone in the floral business to know and be aware. And this discussion is just one of the many ways that we're keeping our members on the forefront of the industry. So if you're not a member, please think about becoming one, because there's some tremendous insight from these great panelists, and Jerome as well. Thank you very much, Jerome. It was a
Thank you
great
for
Zoom.
putting this together. And
You're
at
welcome.
that, I guess I'm going to turn it back over to Rod, who will do some final comments. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for the candid conversation. This isn't easy for anybody, but like Steve said, and Josh and John, the reality is we're in a good spot. We're all busy. We're super busy, and we just have to make some adjustments and make some things, take ideas that Maria shared and that Jason shared and different things, and really, basically, it's an ever evolving industry, and we're just evolving a lot faster right now. So, but there's a lot of opportunity to be successful. So it's really a good time to be in the floral industry. So Rod, take it back.
Great, thank you, Jerome, for being a wonderful moderator and host this evening. And also thank you to our panelists, Steve, Josh, John, and Cliff, for your input on where we're at. And I'll echo Steve's sentiments as well. You know, I've been in this business my whole life, and I've never seen it this robust, and consumers this excited about wanting to buy flowers and sending flowers and sharing flowers with people in their lives. As CalFlowers says, you know, I think it's something to the effect that flowers make everything better, and that's really true. So Jeanette mentioned our regional meeting, our Zoom meeting. Our next regional Zoom meeting will be October 6th with Jerome, but I also want to mention the day prior to that, October 5th, we're going to partner with DWF down in Toledo, and also with Syndicate Sales. They're going to be bringing in Derek Woodruff to present hands-on class, or a little type of a workshop to the first 50 people that register. But the meeting will be open to everyone. So we hope you can join us in Toledo at DWF on October 5th in person. And then we'll see you the very next night here on the Zoom meeting. And Josh, thanks for that idea. Great idea. We need to put a big join button on our homepage. It's in the menu bar. It says join GLFA, but maybe we could make that like a big daisy or something. I don't know. We'll work on that. So again, thank you to everybody. I appreciate you being here. Again, watch your emails. We'll be sending out constant contacts with more information on upcoming events, regional meetings, hands-on workshops. And
October 11th, we have an event going on.
October 11th, we have the Hall of Fame dinner honoring Jackie Burrell this year from Flowers from Sky's the Limit up in Petoskey, Michigan. More information on the website under Michigan Floral Foundation in the drop-down menu, Hall of Fame dinner. And thanks for some of the Hall of Famers that are with us tonight. I see Dwight Laramere on the meeting, a Hall of Famer. I saw Red Kennicott on the meeting tonight, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, love to see you all come up to that meeting. It's on October 11th. Information's on the website. So
absolutely
great to have you.
Good. Okay, again, I will stop the recording. It'll take me a minute to download this, and then we'll upload it to our YouTube channel, and we'll send it out to everyone that's participated tonight, so you can have it to share with your staff and other employees. Again, thanks everybody. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye now.